Somewhere right now, someone is checking an app to see exactly when the next solar eclipse will happen down to the second in their exact location. You'll probably grab a pair of special glasses, maybe step outside for 10 minutes, snap a photo, and go back to your day. But the real answer to what this moment used to mean is far stranger because for almost all of human history, watching the sun disappear in the middle of the day wasn't a scheduled event. It was the sky itself seeming to break. Imagine standing in an open field centuries before telescopes, before calendars precise enough to predict anything in the sky. The afternoon feels completely normal, then slowly the light starts to change. Shadows sharpen strangely, birds fall silent, temperature drops, and then the sun, the one thing you've trusted to rise and set every single day of your life without exception, simply goes dark. You have no explanation for this. No science class taught you about the moon's orbit. No warning arrived on a screen. All you know is that the most reliable thing in existence just failed and you have no idea if it's coming back. Across nearly every ancient culture, the explanations that emerged shared one eerie theme: something was eating the sun. In ancient China, that something was a dragon. Historical records describe eclipses as moments of genuine political emergency, not simple curiosity. According to legend, two royal astronomers named Hai and Ho were executed for failing to predict an eclipse in time to warn the emperor, because an unpredicted eclipse wasn't treated as a natural event. It was treated as a failure to protect the ruler from a cosmic threat. To fight back, crowds would bang drums, shout, and create as much noise as possible, an attempt to scare the dragon into spitting the sun back out. When the eclipse ended, as it always eventually does, the noisemakers believed they had personally saved the sun. In parts of ancient India, the culprit was a demon named Rahu, said to chase and occasionally catch the sun as punishment for an old betrayal among the gods. In Norse mythology, two sky wolves, Skal and Hati, were believed to be endlessly chasing the sun and moon, and an eclipse meant one of them had finally caught up. Notice the pattern here. Different continents, different religions, completely disconnected civilizations all arrived at strikingly similar conclusions. Something is attacking the sun and it must be stopped through noise, ritual, or fear. But not every ancient culture responded with only myth. Some responded with genuine, careful observation, and one moment in particular changed the course of history entirely. In 585 BCE, according to the historian Herodotus, two armies, the Lydians and the Medes, had been locked in a brutal, prolonged war. During a pivotal battle, the sky suddenly darkened in the middle of the day. Both sides, terrified by what appeared to be a divine sign, immediately stopped fighting and negotiated peace on the spot. What makes this moment remarkable isn't just the halted war. It's that a Greek philosopher named Thales of Miletus is credited with having predicted this very eclipse in advance, using early observations of celestial patterns. If the account is accurate, it represents one of the earliest recorded instances of a human being using pure observation and reasoning, not myth, to correctly anticipate one of the sky's most terrifying events. Here's the twist worth sitting with. Fear and science emerged from the exact same moment in human history, starring up at the same darkened sky. One path led to drums, dragons, and demons. The other path led to patterns, predictions, and eventually modern astronomy. Both were reasonable responses to a genuinely terrifying unknown. The difference wasn't intelligence, it was simply which tool a particular culture reached for first, ritual or observation. As centuries passed, careful skywatchers slowly began noticing that eclipses weren't random punishments at all. They followed patterns. Ancient Babylonian astronomers, keeping meticulous written records over generations, eventually identified a recurring 18-year cycle in eclipse timing, now known as the Saros cycle. They couldn't yet explain why it happened. But they could predict when it would happen again, purely from patient, repeated observation, centuries before anyone understood orbital mechanics. Think about how strange that timeline actually is. For most of human history, an eclipse was the single most terrifying event imaginable, a sign that the natural order itself might be permanently breaking. And yet, through nothing but patient watching, humans eventually transformed one of their oldest fears into one of their most reliable predictions. This is where the modern mirror becomes almost uncomfortable. Today you know exactly when an eclipse is coming, sometimes years in advance down to the minute, mapped precisely across a strip of the Earth's surface. You've stripped nearly all the mystery out of an event that once stopped wars and toppled emperors' confidence in their own rule. But the instinctive reaction hasn't fully disappeared. Watch a crowd during a total solar eclipse today, and you'll notice something strange. Even knowing exactly what's happening, even holding scientifically accurate glasses, people still gasp, still fall quiet, still feel a small flicker of something ancient stir in their chest as daylight vanishes and returns. That flicker isn't irrational. It's a direct echo of the exact same reaction your ancestors had, standing in fields, banging drums, praying to gods, watching wolves chase the sun across an imagined sky. Knowledge changed the explanation. It didn't erase the instinct. So the next time you put on a pair of Eclipse glasses and watch the sun disappear behind the moon, notice what's actually happening inside you. You're not just observing an astronomical event. You're briefly reconnecting with one of the oldest, most universal fears your species has ever shared, the fear that the sky itself might not be as reliable as you've always assumed. Somewhere right now, someone is checking an app to know the exact second the sun will go dark. Now you know that for almost all of human history, that same moment came with no warning at all, and humanity's very first science may have been born from nothing more than the desperate need to understand why.